Jiu-Jitsu in Star Wars, how so?
Oh, I mean, I can certainly. So check it out. So to me,
Okay.
Jiu-Jitsu is like a philosophy. I just edited together the Hickson 2018 Tokyo seminar that he did, and I think a lot of people kind of brushed it off because he was like, it took a long time. There's a translator, and he like had to like talk and then wait and talk and wait. So it's like kind of hard to watch originally. So I cut it all together. But he says it's him explaining to a room full of judo people like what jiu-jitsu actually is. And he explains it by like 4 principles. And like basically the philosophy that I got out of it is that, like, jiu-jitsu is just efficiency. And that's like full stop it. Like efficiency and like advantage through mechanical motion. So if you do it right, it shouldn't cost you anything from yourself, right? Like if I'm moving perfectly with that theory, and I'm allowing my base and my connection and everything to kind of like carry me along, then I can. It's like jiu-jitsu is like the trope, right? The lazy jiu-jitsu guy. It's like the reason you can do that is because you're using like the way that all this force is moving you around. So you're like using the force. Now you can also like do grappling in like a kind of resistive way. Like a lot of wrestling has, like I think wrestlers have to do it. Like the idea is like, go through and overcome rather than try to go around. So like that, I call that using the dark side, where if you're trying to muscle something or if your technique is imperfect, you can force it with like an attribute, like your flexibility or your muscle or your speed or something like that. Mm-hmm. But if you're doing it right and you're using the force, then none of that is necessary, and you can go a lot longer than if someone's using the dark side. It's literally eating them up from the inside. It's using their own energy against them. And so,
interesting,
right? Yeah. So if I try to always use the force. If you watch some of our roll videos, like we roll for like an hour because we're not trying to resist each other. It's like it's a light side roll, if you will. So yeah, that's kind of the general. Does that make sense to you?
Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. This is, it made me think of something when you get a guy who doesn't understand jiu-jitsu, and they have, and they roll with someone who does understand jiu-jitsu, and even if the guy who doesn't do jiu-jitsu is physically stronger, he will often say like, "Wow, you're so strong," because we can call this a lot of things. Some people call it mat strength. Tai Chi nerds call it Pungjin, which is structural strength.
Sure.
There are a lot of different words and terms for it in martial arts, but it's essentially efficiency of movement, right? Technique isn't a lack of strength or power. It's an efficient use of strength and power. An efficient use of body mechanics, and it feels magical. It feels overpowered when you do it the right way against someone who's doing it the wrong way, if you will.
Yeah.
So when you match force against structure is going to win, right? Unless that force is overwhelming to a ridiculous degree.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's a fascinating analogy. The dark side of the force of jiu-jitsu, man. You can win fights that way. But as far as longevity in the sport, man, you need something else.
Yeah. You see, you can see who, like, people who have gone through not just fighting arts, but I think other sports who understand who is a force user and who is a dark side user, because the dark side users can't do anything once they're their bodies start falling apart, because this whole time they probably were using one of those attributes, like they're leaning on it like a crutch, right? They're like, and they just ground themselves into dust. But then you have other people where you're like, this person is 85 years old and they're still like able to, like not get tapped out by everybody. Elio Gracie.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I could transmit that thought to your brain, because I wanted to hear what your idea was. Because I'll talk to people at the gym and stuff and be like, and a lot of people actually now we do call it like using the dark side, and that's kind of fun to me. But yeah, I wanted to see what your thoughts were.
No, that's a fun analogy. I like that, man. the dark side of the force of jiu-jitsu, man. That's if Star Wars was better known here in China, I might use that as an instructional analogy, but most people over here don't know what that is.